Hello, welcome back. We are We the Parents. I'm Leslie, and this is Katie.
Hello.
And we are going to talk about some local issues with education and some local offices, but we're also going to start with the big picture of the state. So many of you know that we have been pushing for Sonia Shaw for Superintendent of Public Instruction. She's a rock star. She's one of us. She's been fighting. She was a school board member, a mama bear, and she decided enough is enough, went up against Tony Thurmond, went up against Rob Bonta, went up against Gavin Newsom. She is a fighter. She will fight for our kids. If you guys didn't hear the interview that I did with her on Kevin Cry's radio show, you need to listen to that. But she's a fighter. And what happened is she's been running, and she was the highest vote getter in the state. And the legislature had put forth something, and Gavin Newsom had been working
Yeah, it was
on
like a budget
something.
bill.
And so the legislature had a budget bill that they worked with Rob Bonta and Gavin Newsom to gut and flip to make it to where instead of her having the power to decide what is happening curriculum wise across all of our schools in the state and major decisions in education across the state, that will now go to a governor appointee. And basically, they gutted the position. They can't remove the position altogether because it's a constitutional position. But basically, it's a title with no real teeth.
So the reason that she is such a threat to them is because she went into her school board position and knew her power, created models, policies that were then rippled throughout the state. You'll know them because we've been fighting for them right here in Anderson. So we took those policies from Chino Valley School District, Sonia Shaw, implemented them here as a community and our wonderful board majority there in Anderson, and then joined Chino Valley in the lawsuit, ended up winning all the way to the Supreme Court.
No. We joined Chino Valley in the lawsuit. The lawsuit is still going. I'm on there as a parent plaintiff. Anderson High School is on there as a plaintiff with Chino Valley and 2 other school districts. And we are going into oral arguments in October.
Gotcha.
But 3 other cases with the same standing against the same bill have all gone through and had the ruling in their favor. So
We're going to win.
we should win, but we are held up in the Ninth Circuit and we have oral arguments in
So
October.
this has been the number one topic that Leslie and I have been speaking about on our podcast. Every single podcast we have done, we have mentioned this particular thread throughout. So they really don't like her. So after seeing it's inevitable that she is going to win, she has a grassroots army of mama bears and papa bears out there fighting for her. And her issues are truly nonpartisan, and people want her to come in there.
Well,
and
and that's
shake
what I
things
was
up.
going to say. The reason she was the highest vote getter in a state like California that is predominantly Democrat or no party preference is because the issues are nonpartisan issues that are 80-20 issues. She's focusing on keeping boys out of girls' spaces. She's focusing on keeping boys out of girls' sports. She's focusing on parental notification and parental involvement in schools and just a really common sense approach. And that is resonating with every family across the state.
So they worked really hard to gut and amend a bill to strip her of her jurisdiction and basically make it to where it's in the hands of the governor. And, you know, they say no kings, but here we are making our governor able to have an appointment that should be an elected position. They're taking it away from the people and putting it to the governor. That sounds very king-like to me.
Mm-hmm.
What is even more disappointing, and I'll let you speak to this because I don't know as much about it as you do.
Right.
But more disappointing is that our superintendent, Mike Freeman, which has never been good. He's duped some people, but the guy has pronouns in his emails. Okay. So he has never been good. He's really good at word salad, and he's really good at being a blob. He pretends to really care about Constitution, but as you can see, that's debatable.
So the what sparked this is there was a news article, and we'll post that in the comments. We've got a bunch of links that we're going to post in the comments. But edsource.org did an article, and they talked about, and Ed Mansalala, who is from the El Dorado County schools, he's the superintendent of schools for El Dorado County. He was quoted as saying, the 58 county superintendents back this proposal because a lack of unified state direction forces schools to absorb the cost of competing priorities, making sustained improvement unlikely. And so I sent a message to Mike Freeman, and I will say that nothing or blob would be accurate statements. I don't think he's an inherently evil person. I just think he wants to please all sides all the time. I think he has good intentions, but when you stand for nothing, you stand for nothing, right? And so when you take the middle of the road approach, you're not being a leader.
But it goes back to that statement. Well, two things come to mind. One is when good men don't
do nothing.
Yeah. Evil prevails. Okay.
Right.
The second thing that I think of is in the Bible when it talks about you're being lukewarm and just spit you out of your mouth. I mean, that's the visceral response that I get to this man.
Well, and that's where I keep trying to appeal to him from that perspective. As a believer, as a parent, can you level with me and admit that, like, maybe this needs our attention? And that's how I'm going to continue to approach him and work at it. And, 4 years from now, we may need to replace him.
Okay, so what was his response?
So anyway,
people need to make this decision by themselves.
I had said this was posted, and as a parent and a voter who voted for this superintendent candidate with the highest amount of votes, I feel we're owed an explanation. And so his response was, thanks for the email. I think that there is a general consensus that changes were needed. I absolutely empathize with the current candidates, and I personally felt like it was unfair how the governor chose to go about making the changes. The job description was being written literally as people are working hard across the state to campaign to do the job. I also disapprove of how the changes were implemented, rolling them through into the budget process. I like the idea of a commissioner of education coming with a deep experience of administration and education. But as it is an appointee, who knows who we will get. So he says, I hope this helps. Happy to talk more. Here's the thing.
I can't even unpack
You took such a stance of no stance that I've just decided that every single office of education in 4 years needs to have their superintendent replaced. Because if all 58 even took his approach of, well, while we sympathize with the candidates,
it says in the article that he voted. So there was his response is weird, but his action was
there was a vote for support, and they all voted in support of.
Which means that he put his support in with the governor making that appointment. So
while you're saying, I sympathize and this and that, this is where it's you're not standing for anything. If you're going to vote one way because it's going to, in theory, get you somebody with a high level of experience at an administrative level, then... But you understand at the same vein that it is an appointment by the governor and you really could get anybody. Like, you're saying all of this. You're telling me that you're making a decision based on half information that you don't know is going to be relevant when the decision for who takes the position comes. So I think at this point, if all 58 counties voted for it, if all 58 counties support it, we have 4 years to find county superintendents for all 58 counties, and all 58 need to be replaced in 4 years.
The only thing I will say is that not all of them are elected positions. Some of them are actually appointed by the board, the county board.
Well, then those boards need to work on replacing them.
I agree. And we
But
can get
I mean,
new
at,
board members
at,
in
at
there.
this point, that needs to be, if you live in a county in California, your homework is find out who your superintendent is, ask them why they voted for this, ask them why they support it. And if they didn't vote for it, if it is not unanimous support, we need to know that as well. And we need to bring that out.
So it was clear to me in Newsom's press conference when he was talking about this particular thing that the CTA was not for this. But because it was through like money, a lot of additional money going to education, they capitulated to the whole situation. So to me, the whole thing is corrupt and disgusting. And I really hope we can fight this in court. And I hope that Sonia can fight this. I hope people will stay vigilant on this. I know we will. Our podcast will be. But this is unacceptable.
Well, and that was my first question to Michael Gates, who's running for Attorney General, is seeing everything Rob Bonta has done, knowing his history, will you, if put in office, pursue this issue with Sonia, and what's the plan? And he said they're already in talks. So they're already working on what legally she can and cannot do, what legally we as people, like we the people whose vote has been completely circumvented, can do. If you're going to do something like this, I mean, Mike Freeman was right. The timing is terrible. If you're going to do something like this, you need to do it 2-3 years into the term so that they know it's coming. They have time to inform the public. And it needs to be something that the public votes on.
I
Do
can't
we
believe
want to
not
make this a
one
position?
superintendent in all 58 counties.
That's why we need to know. If your superintendent did not support this, we need to know. Because when El Dorado County is saying all 58 supported it, El Dorado, I think Sonia won overwhelmingly in that county. Like,
yeah, it's not acceptable. And you know, we would all be okay. We would be so much better off if we didn't have rhinos. And I know that people don't like that statement, but it is so clear and obvious. We have them. I mean, Mike Freeman is a registered Republican, and none of his actions ever have anything to do with Republican ideals.
and that's where, the whole good men that do nothing, good people who stand by and do nothing. We had Republicans here locally who were supporting Democrat candidates who fully support, believe in, and fund, like go to churches and communities that fund abortion, fund LGBTQ community events. Like, we have people that this is who they were supporting, and they are part of the Republican Party. Those are good people who, because it's, the lesser of two evils, I'm going to support this one. You're doing nothing. You're not standing up for what's right. And what's right is backing the candidate who, against all odds, defeated that candidate.
Okay, so back up. All right, so I sit in my seat, District 3, on the Republican Central Committee. Leslie's right. Great people on that committee, overwhelmingly. Unfortunately, we get lumped in with people like Bruce Ross, who just recently, in a recent article with the left side news of people who are just, I mean, you can't even call them news, they're opinion articles. And he made a comment in his official capacity on the Republican Central Committee that reflected very poorly on our committee. And we we don't, we don't, we want people to understand that yes, rhinos exist. I hate the word, but I think he described himself as squishy. He's beyond that. He's running now in Area 1 of Shasta County Office of Education. So this is why it's important for me to be bold and to say that the history of things that happened in this county with this man, not only more recently has he been supporting congressional candidates that support abortion, and basically full-blown admitted that they would caucus with the Democrats. He supported against our Republican candidates almost 100% of the time.
Well,
the
and
only
for multiple
Republican that
elections.
he's ever fully supported is the Dallies, who pay his paycheck. So that just kind of gives you an idea of a backstory
but
of
it's
this
been
man.
for years. He has personally endorsed and supported
The wrong candidate.
the opposite. Oh, I won't even say the wrong candidate. I'm just going to say the opposite. It's whoever the left side of Shasta County puts up, he is backing
Yeah,
100% other than the Dallies, and they pay his paycheck. And that's not acceptable.
So backstory of Bruce Ross is back in the pandemic era when we were mama bears just starting out in politics. We knew nothing of who's who in politics. Half the time, I'll link a video. I didn't even pronounce people's names right. I didn't even know who they were. So, Bruce Ross showed up as such a nemesis to us because we found out there was a lawsuit with Let Them Breathe to get the masks off our kids. Newsom's own lawyers at the time argued in court that it was not Newsom's office that were creating the mask mandates. They said it was the school districts. And the mechanism of action was that the Newsom's office was putting down the guidance to the school districts, and the school districts were the ones making it policy.
They were implementing the policy. Right.
So they argued that it was the school district's fault because they are the ones with the power. So what we did,
while at the same time having organizations come into the school boards, letting them know this is from the state, this is who controls your funding.
Right.
You have to make these decisions. You don't, because we had school board members in Cascade and Anderson that were good people.
they were terrified.
Who were like, I don't have a choice. This is where the funding comes from, and we have to. We were told
Which I'll get into
we don't
that.
have a choice.
I'll get into that later because
Right.
that we have proof of that
Right.
extortion type behavior.
But so the school boards had the ability and the power to.
When we got that opinion, my biggest thing was I said, let them breathe. You did not lose your lawsuit. You won, because now we can take this opinion, and we did. We went to countless school board meetings. Michelle was there with me. I think you were there with a bunch of them. We had all kinds of people come in. We flooded those school board meetings, and we showed them. We said, here's the proof. And we had that opinion. But that started getting our school boards to say, wait a minute, we do have the power?
Mm-hmm.
That prompted Mr. Bruce Ross to say, oh, we need everyone on the same page. We must have this secret meeting.
Right.
Now, this is when, by the grace of God, we found out about this secret meeting. It was the superintendent of each and every school district in Shasta County invited, along with 2 board members, so they did not have a board majority. So it was going to be at the County Office of Education to, quote, get everyone on the same page. The agenda, which I will link in the comments, shows you exactly what page they wanted everybody on. The intimidation tactics were level 10. Number 1, they had a letter from the liability insurance that many of our school districts use saying that they will lose their liability insurance. Number 2, Tom Gutierrez wrote a letter. That's their main lawyer that almost every single school district uses to twist their arm and tell them that they had to go along with these quote unquote guidance.
Mm-hmm.
then the most telling thing.
Well, and we made this part famous. So, like, many of you have seen this part because when we were doing the election against Judy Flores, we ran this article and this post from that agenda everywhere that we could. It was an article that was in there that said conservative parents are a danger to education.
And school
A threat.
boards.
A
And
threat.
a threat
Yeah.
to education. It went on to convolute the mask mandates, which we had left and right standing together on this mask issue and opening up our schools. So they were convoluting the CRT issue, the LGBTQ issue, parental rights issue.
And we need to point out that all of this is pre Moms for Liberty days. All of this was before Southern Poverty Law Center labeled us terrorists. This was before
This was
local
when the
people-
DOJ was knocking on parents' doors, that the feds were investigating parents for going to school board meetings. And this article appears inside this agenda for this school board secret meeting that they were having. And what it was saying subtly to these school board members is, if you do what the parents want, you will be lumped into this negative category of being like kind of like on the domestic terrorist side. So it was another intimidation tactic.
Yes. And when you say that that's at level 10, I mean, we had people that were coming to us saying, you didn't get this from me. Delete all traces of it. Like, do not give me credit. Do not mention my name. Like, do not sit by me at meetings. I mean, we had teachers, board members, staff members, admin that were like, don't smile at me in public. Don't wave at me in public. Like, I'm going to give you this information, but you didn't get it from me. Like, it was, the intimidations and the threats were so severe. People thought they were losing their jobs. They thought they were losing funding. And at the same time, they're like, these are our constituents. This is who we represent. These are the parents of the, like, these are the most involved parents. Like, I'm going to lose my whole PTA. I'm going to lose my, booster club. I'm going to, like, what do I do? Right. And it put everybody in this really.
So I just, in a moment of desperation, and also at the time never being somebody ever wanted to be in front of a camera or have a microphone in my hand, I went through this secret meeting agenda on YouTube. I believe it was kind of like a 15-minute video, which prompted me to get invited here to Mountaintop to do a full-on interview with one of the shows at the time. And it was the idea of the community for us to show up at that meeting, not my idea, but definitely we promoted it, to bring our shoes.
Well, it was a secret meeting,
right,
closed to the public. Okay, so this is all levels of government for your local education.
Oh, we should say that there was board of supervisors. People who were sitting on the board of supervisors invited as well.
Yeah, so it was all levels of local government making decisions for your kids with zero public input. This is like so unconstitutional. This is, the people who are going to the board meeting saying, you cut my speaking time down to 2 minutes instead of 3, should know that we were completely locked out of this meeting. Like, we weren't allowed to know that it was happening. We weren't allowed to know when, where, and we got all of the details, and they had like people blocking the door. The doors were all locked. It was top secret. All the windows were blacked out. And so that is what resulted in the shoe protests. We had to find a way. How do we get the representative, the representation of the community, the people who would come and do public comment? How do we represent that in a visible way that they can't ignore?
And we wanted to be respectful because we truly wanted to win. And we were before this meeting, we were getting through to the school board members because we had that let them breathe lawsuit. So we knew that we had to be very, very meticulous on this. And it was, I don't remember who it was, but it was a community member who had seen this happening in other places to do the shoe protest. And one of our good friends, Angel, she headed it up, and she put up boxes in different business locations so that people could drop off shoes, and letters. We had an entire binder of letters from community members, and said, we will walk if you guys continue these draconian measures. We can't do it anymore. We will we'll take our responsibilities back, and we will educate our own children. And as they walked in, we said, we're praying for you. And we sang worship songs. We had speakers come, and we were peaceful. And I believe God really blessed us in those moments.
Well, and at one point, because they were having to walk past everybody, they ended up opening the back door and having everybody go in through the other entrance so that they didn't have to come through. But yeah, it was a very positive atmosphere, but it was undeniable, the support. Yeah. And so, I mean, which led to, they wrote a letter, and we were pissed. This letter came out, and we were like, we failed. What are we doing?
The mamsy-pamsy letter. It's so blobby.
Do we close up shop and say, we're going up against something we can't beat, or do we double down, which we chose to double down? But we were pissed. We were like, this has no teeth. This is stupid. And the letter basically said, under duress, we are letting you know that over half of our students are going to stay home. Over half of our students are going to leave our districts.
Some school districts, it was up to, in the letter, it says some school districts in the polling that they did, it was up to 80%.
Yeah. And so they were saying this financially is going to cripple our districts. And
they said parents want choice, and overwhelmingly they want choice, and they're very, very worried about this vaccine mandate because the vaccine hasn't been around very long.
And I think it needs to be reiterated. The letter sounded super weak sauce. It was
to
under
us,
duress,
but it was actually really good.
It caused us to be so pissed that we doubled down. We organized. We started a 501c3. We started fundraising. We started, we're going to massively organize, which is what led to finding Moms for Liberty, becoming Moms for Liberty, getting part of a national machine that is unstoppable. What they did was push us to a point where now there is no going away. And now we're making a difference at the local level, the state level, the national level. It's insane. But we didn't find out
Maybe we should thank Bruce Ross.
Right. Hey, Bruce, thank you. But because of your behavior, you do not deserve to sit on another board of education.
Or you've been any a school board candidate ever again.
You've been a school board member, and you've proven who you are. You've shown us who you are. We should have believed you the first time. You have no business being on a county board of education. And so thank you for your service in creating a machine that is going to pull out all stops to keep you from having access to our children. Yeah. And so, but the thing is, that letter, we didn't find out till a year and a half later, when somebody was doing a podcast and played a video clip on a national podcast that said there was this letter from Shasta County that circulated the Capitol building.
It was the High Wire.
Right.
Yeah.
Circulated the Capitol building and caused them to pull the mandatory COVID vaccine bill that was circulating the Capitol. They pulled it completely.
So they took that letter that we thought was weak sauce, but turns out, I mean, in retrospect, it was awesome because it was them saying, we're not with these parents, but we kind of have to be because they're gonna leave, and we kind of need them.
No, so yeah, they full on said we are trying to implement your mandatory policies that you're telling us we have no control over. We're trying. Please don't take our funding
Yeah.
because we're trying. But these really mean moms and dads won't stop.
So that letter was circulated and actually went to the governor's office and the head of the health department at the time, and a bunch of other leaders and a bunch of people who were actually pushing for legislation for vaccine mandates. And the tagline was, "For your situational awareness."
Right.
And then it said respectfully, and then
Yeah. And
whoever it was
the
that was
thing is,
putting this out there.
we didn't find out until somebody had done a FOIA request for any documentation related to the bill for the mandatory COVID vaccine. They didn't even know what they were looking for. They weren't looking for this letter. We didn't know this letter had gone we knew it got sent to the state, but we didn't know it had any impact or did anything. And then they sent, as part of the FOIA response, this letter and said this had a major impact and directly resulted in the bill being pulled.
So I recently had to speak on this situation with Bruce Ross, and I'm probably going to have to, throughout this election season. And it's not pleasant. I don't like having to talk about this, but I did have some feedback from somebody who said to me, the pandemic was so long ago. We don't want to talk about it anymore. That happened and it's too stressful for us. We don't want to hear it.
But when you don't pay attention to history and you don't address history repeats itself.
I love that you said that, exactly how you said that, because that's exactly what one of our friends said in the middle of that meeting to defend me. Her exact response was, if you forget about the past, then you can't learn from the past. And history, the entire point of history is to learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not fun to bring up these things and to relive it. Dr. Fauci going before that Senate hearing and repeatedly saying, plead the fifth, and then going back through and looking at those videos of those times of hundreds and hundreds of desperate people with their signs,
of our
over
kids.
and over. It's in the news everywhere right now. It's on X everywhere right now. And of our kids out there.
They're replaying videos of people hugging through shower curtains with armholes and
thinking about all the people that died alone.
Yeah. All of the grandparents that never got to say goodbye. And so I have to compose myself for a second. So when you look at the evidence that was presented and you look at the fact that there were so many deaths that were based on this information being put forth by this, master of science, who now information and evidence that we've been saying all along proves that he had something to do with the origins of this pandemic and this virus and everything. And you look at the fact that he alone caused this many deaths, yet made millions of dollars while doing it, and then sits there stone cold and says, based on advice from my counsel, I respectfully plead the fifth. Zero emotion, zero.
He has zero remorse. So the other problem is that Newsom's own lawyers said it was not me, and Fauci can say not me,
right?
Because it went, the mechanism of action of doing this to us was our local school boards, and this is why we have said never again.
Right.
This is why we tell you, regular people, you don't want to grab a microphone. You don't want to sit in front of and do a podcast. You're not the kind of person that you want anyone seeing you and looking at you, but you stand up and you do what's right because other people are failing to do so, and never again. So,
well,
I want to say the filing period is still open.
Right.
And we have so many school board positions that are available right now. There's 24 school districts in this county. Reach out to Leslie and I. Come into our comment section, DM us, give us a phone call, call us. We can help you find a spot that you can run for. And maybe for such a time as this, it's you. I'm just saying, maybe it's you.
The thing to tie it all back, the reason I brought up Fauci is we have the Democrats of Shasta County who posted a Facebook post, and they said, and I'm going to pull this up so that I can make sure that I have it right. They said, "Thank you, Dr. Fauci. You led with science. You spoke with honesty. You served with integrity. You saved lives. We stand with Fauci because courage is never out of style. A true public servant, a true American hero. Science matters. Truth matters. Kindness matters." They posted this yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yesterday. Okay, at 11 p.m. And so my response to that is pulling up the facts, right? Because facts matter. And 111 times he pled the fifth, even though he has a federal pardon for everything going back to 2014. Why does it need to go back that far unless he had a hand in the creation of this? But he pled the fifth 111 times. The deaths, excess deaths globally linked to COVID policies, linked to the policies that he created, 17 million plus. Excess deaths in the U.S., 1.1 million plus. Children harmed, mental, emotional, physical, due to lockdowns and school closures, 225,000 plus. Plus, because most of us are the type that aren't going to take a survey about our kids and give the government any information, right? So we know that number's in the millions. So how? Tell me how. Dr. Fauci, you saved lives. You acted with integrity when you created the policies that killed these people. And he had financial benefits of $25 million in total compensation from U.S. taxpayers. Okay? Let that sink in. And this organization in Shasta County is organizing. They are running school board candidates. They are running County Office of Education candidates. They are backing people like Bruce Ross, who will tell you, I'm a registered Republican. I sit on the Republican Central Committee, yet I am supporting every candidate these people are pushing. If you can look at that list of deaths, that list of children affected, look at your own experiences with COVID, look at that amount of money made off the backs of taxpayers while small businesses closed, while people lost their homes, while everything people spent lifetimes building was destroyed. Mm-hmm. And you can say that man is an American hero. Do you want those people deciding who's running your school boards? Do you want those people running for those school boards seats?
Yeah, no. So here's the thing. Bruce Ross did not earn the endorsement of the Republican Central Committee. And that tells you that your Republican Central Committee is good and it's working and it's doing its job. And please do not think because there is one person on that board that the entire board is wrong. So support your local candidates. Get out there. If you can't run yourself, get a friend to run.
Find somebody that can.
Because the Central Committee is ready and willing to take this on. The Democrats have been doing it for a long time, and now we're getting in the fight. We're running school board candidates, and we're endorsing them, and we're endorsing the good ones. And you can trust our endorsements at this point.
And the thing is, we have really good people who have done really good work who are running. And if you cannot run for office, you can vote, and you need to vote. This is the most important election. I say that every election, and every
Very
election is the
important.
most important. We had the most abysmal turnout during the primary. And we, again, it goes back to what we said at the beginning. When good people stand by and do nothing, evil takes over. And if good people with good morals who care about the well being of our children don't come out and vote, the people who think Fauci is an American hero will. And that is who's going to be running your schools.
With that, I think that's a good note to. We always have our call to action, but we're available to help you out any way that we can. If you have any questions about what's going on in local politics, we're happy to answer those. And put us in, tag somebody in the comments that you think should run for school board.
Right. And if you know somebody who knows who their county Office of Education superintendent is, and they did not support backing the gutting of the superintendent's position at the state level, we want to know that too.
I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you next week.